And welcome to episode 101, Red Leaf Retrocast here, Wrestling Edition. It is 16 Carat New Blood Revolution. Kind of like that title. It's JD. I'm running solo today. I wanted to do something quick and simple, even though there's a lot of, crazy wrestling going on. We got, as I run through what's going to be covered on this podcast, got matches and topics outside promotions. We're doing some Western Joshi, and there's a reason for that. So I'll be talking a little bit of Mission Pro, some of Impact's women's division, DDT Tag League came to a close. Just quick, simple thoughts on that. Ice Ribbon ran a show and had some major news. Stardom ran its New Blood show. Dragongate had Champion Gate weekend. AEW had Revolution and the Fallout. New Japan had started the New Japan Cup. And WXW, 16 Carat tournament, baby. Oh, I can't wait. That is probably going to be a large chunk of this podcast because I am going to go over that entire tournament. And I can't wait for that. That's the order. And then, of course, the retro section, All Japan Women Classics. We're on episode 64, going into the fall of 1992. And then skipping New Japan through the 90s still. When I kind of feel like it again, when I get my little motivation, I'll go back to that. And Nitro, July 19th, 1999. That is an episode as we get ever closer to the Russo era. Excuse me. I had a wild weekend. Got a PS5, bowling, went to a soccer game in a blizzard. It was 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And then had a Beyond Wrestling show. And speaking of that, I have updated the Patreon, patreon.com/redleafretrocast, and what you can expect on the tiers going forward through this year. On the $1.50 tier, I have titled it the Joshi 2010s tier, because that's where the Joshi 2010s episodes will be. That is a journey out of the Dark Age through Joshi Wrestling. And the next episode coming out with this one is the Oz Academy Plum Memorial Show from 2011 with guest host Scott E. coming on as we have like an hour and a half discussion and review of that show and what's going on there. So look forward to that. And you will get early access to articles that I'm working on called the Western Joshi Top 5 of the Month. That is me watching and critiquing and evaluating the best that I was able to find and seek out from women's wrestling outside of Japan specifically. And the January edition is free on the Patreon, so it's easy to find. You can just type in Western Joshi and it should come up immediately. And you will get it 2 to 3 weeks early, hopefully each month, at the beginning of each month, that I can get that out. So February is going to come out shortly after this episode by design. So then starting next month in April, you will get early access to the March edition over what was the best from Western Joshi. And then on the $5 tier, the Jaguar Nagayo tier, as I've called it, that's where you'll get your LLPW reviews, any interesting articles and thoughts in more deeper thoughts and written down, such as the retirement of Sakushi. That's huge news. And as you guys know, listen to this podcast, we've covered Ice Ribbon essentially since the start of the podcast. And that's another major article covering the promotion of Ice Ribbon, the future of it, and kind of what this retirement means for essentially their top star after everything that's happened. So you can check that article out. I'm very proud of it. There's a lot of worry in Ice Ribbon right now, and it's very warranted. And you will get my LLPW reviews. There's the JD Star archive until Kay gets back from his hiatus so far because of his job, his shoot job. And it'll also cover everything that's prior. So full descriptions over there on the Patreon, and I hope you guys sign up and enjoy it. The huge thing that I'm proud of is now I've added the live indie wrestling reviews from all the shows I go to in New England here, and I'm pretty much averaging 2 live shows a month, so you'll get, within a day or two of the live show, me reviewing and critiquing the live experience, and it's mostly going to be over Beyond Wrestling and WWR and various shows here in New England that I go to. And like I said, there's about 2 a month that I've been going to since essentially the start of the year. Indie Wrestling's back. I'm very excited. That's over on the $5 tier as well. So without further ado, I can actually play a DDT drop. That'll bring us into the Tag League. Sorry, my throat has been pretty ravaged. So I got some water here. We're gonna get through this episode together, and so DDT's ramping up for their Ode Award, Sumo Hall, whatever show, highlighted by Takeshita defending the title against Endo, and then a whole bunch of wacky matches after that. I mean, it's DDT with a big show. They generally sell well based on the name. That they are running a big show. They have a good history of that. Pretty much ever since the Omega Ibushi days. So, will it do better than TJPW at Sumo Hall, Grand Princess, and Stardom? I don't think it will. Could it come close? It might beat TJPW. I still think the way tickets are moving for TJPW and Stardom look like it's going to do way better than what DDT thinks it's going to do. And really, these cyber agent promotions are not doing well right now with their schedule and how they're ramping up to certain events. It's been, with the exception of Noah, kind of pissing off a fan base with a government run by old people, essentially. Oh, there's a term for that. I can't remember. The what they've been able to do since essentially Wrestle Kingdom weekend and the shows here in mid to late March, there isn't much. Because if you remember last year, we covered DDT quite a bit on this podcast. It was a regular promotion, and this time frame, TJPW included, it's just they've really taken this tag league type house show break, and it's really kind of mirroring what Dragongate has done with their schedule for many years. Well, anyways, the tag league, I mostly punted. I paid attention to any recommended matches. I watched the Shuji Kondo tag. That was okay. It was fine. I would very much rather watch Shuji Kondo tear it up in Dragongate, but Dragongate has something like totally different going on right now, and there kind of just isn't really a place for Shuji Kondo. So I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of sticks around in this freelance DDT type role, and who knows, maybe it could be a good place for him. It was Takeshita and Yuki Ueno taking on Endo and Akiyama. Very solid match. It was kind of too straightforward in a lot of ways. It was more or less there to be a vessel to build up further Takeshita and Endo because they really didn't build it up prior. It was just Endo challenges, and then they'll build it up. The kind of the opposite of what you want to do to build up a challenger, because you want to get people excited to buy the ticket immediately, rather than, oh, this is how they're interacting, now I'll buy the ticket. It's kind of, you should already be at least halfway there, and then you can kind of tease at that point. But Takeshita and Ueno win that one. What did I give that? I think I gave it a 2 out of 3. Let's see. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And then in the finals, It was Hiroshima and Yoshimura, the two people that vacated the tag titles to get into this tournament. Not really a good explanation why. They just kind of felt like it, and here they are taking on Takeshita and Ueno in the finals, and this match was great. I gave it a 3 out of 3. It's one of the best tag matches of the year. I have it currently sitting at number 5. I have it at 5th best right now at this point in the year. Yoshimura was the big surprising one in this. Hiroshima really took a backseat throughout most of the match. So it was Yoshimura taking on his former Nautilus tag team partner Ueno, and their final exchange was phenomenal. It's kind of what I like to see in the modern tag match is they do like the middle portion of the match is a lot of tag team maneuvers, and every once in a while a tag partner will come in. They'll try to take this guy out with a tag move, and then it's essentially this one-on-one matchup. And because it's a tag match, you might get a couple of those. And if it's not going to be lucha libre with a lot of moves and a lot of near falls and a lot of energy, this is a good alternative to that to a tag match. You see it a lot in Joshi wrestling, in Stardom and Ice Ribbon specifically, where this environment will occur. While in, say, a Dragongate, it's a lot of dives to the outside. It's a lot more speed heavy, lucha libre, as I said. And Yoshimura ends up taking the head off of Ueno, and really that could be a decent little program if they can continue that for the year, is the former Nautilus partners trying to one-up each other throughout the year to try to take down the god Takeshita. I would much rather Ueno just kind of win at this point. I would like someone fresh at the top. Just don't have the... We've been here with Takeshita at this point in time. Okay, so I will just quickly move on to the Impact Wrestling Sacrafice occurred, and this was... I wouldn't say it's a good show. It between this and what happened in AEW and various WWE, we know what they do. They're not great. It really got me to realize certain crutches that bookers outside of Japan do for women's wrestling, where it's a lot of simplistic finishes, and I don't know if it's just the wrestlers training, it's the producers in the back that's calling these matches, and this is how it's going to finish. There's two things that are severely hampering it, and it was very, very clear watching the Purrazzo Green match and the Mickie James Steels match. James did put over Steels in the end, new champion. Hey, fair. They needed to get this title off Mickie James. She wasn't doing anything with it of significance. She was just there to be a part of the Royal Rumble. It was such a cheap move. While Purrazzo still feels like the true champion of the knockouts. But with Steels, there was a distraction finish, which helped her win. So didn't win clean. She's not really a heel in this promotion. There's too many people cheering for her. The Savannah Evans and Chelsea Green sort of distraction just doesn't get the heat they think it does, and it doesn't protect people the way that modern wrestling, or at least these bookers think they do in terms of modern wrestling. While in the Purrazzo Green match, Green does a dive, and whether she actually re-hurt her wrist or not, let's go with it's a work for now, and that means they booked her real life injury to hamper her, or at least Green's idea in character is she hurt her wrist for real to have her not win the Ring of Honor women's title from Purrazzo. It's very wacky, and they got this side story of Green and James going on, very much reminiscent of the Trish Stratus Mickie James story from 20 years ago. Or is it 15? Might be 15 years ago. The when you have talent in this division, like a Purrazzo, I'll put Steels in there. Giselle Shaw's joined, Lady Frost. They have athletic, talented women in this division that is capable of taking women's wrestling to the next level. And they've already shown that in a lot of ways. And I would definitely throw Jordynne Grace as a part of that group. And they've all improved. But in the eyes of a promotion like Impact with Scott D'Amore in the back, someone who's from an era of 20 years ago, or even longer, what's more important to him, and Tony Khan is guilty of this too, and a lot of indie bookers are guilty of this too, is they're so still stead-focused on a decade ago of these women, or even from 6 years ago and onwards. Mickie James, Chelsea Green, Madison Rayne, people cast off from WWE that were never good in the first place. The Inspiration, Taya Valkyrie is another example. These women's time have come and gone, and they're just not as, obviously my opinion, of course, but they're not as good as the women that are on the upcoming now. And that was when I realized this, that was a big major motivation for me to get these top 5 women's matches of the month out, to highlight and showcase what is exactly the best produced matches that we can see month in and month out. Who maybe we'll get repeat people. Maybe there's just harder workers out there. Maybe there's something to the booking that we see, and a lot of it is this crutch of finishes that come too soon and out of nowhere without any drama to it. I saw a lot of that at the Beyond Wrestling show that I went to with Monkey Business. Review on the Patreon right now, $5 tier. And Impact was a grand example of that. AEW Revolution, which I'll get into, is a grand example of that. And the Beyond Wrestling show was a grand. It's all over. So, I could even throw WXW in there as well. It's a very interesting observation, and the conclusion I've come to right now, and it obviously could change over time, is there's like this fear that the women don't know how to work. And in a way, I guess I could see that, but there's also a lack of mentorship and teaching. And I've spoken about this in the past, is the mentorship and teaching are from an era where they themselves were not taught. So there needs to be some sort of huge cultural change in women's wrestling outside of Japan. And don't get me wrong, you've heard me on this podcast a lot. There's a lot of cultural change that needs to happen in Japan, too, in terms of women's wrestling, especially outside of Stardom. And to be fair, I gave the James Steels match 1 out of 3. I gave Purrazzo Green match 1 out of 3, and mostly because of Purrazzo. And the James Steels match was like the best Mickie James match you'll see in the last few years, on the fact that Steels was came across to me as a babyface anyways. But if you think this actually put over a new star in the Impact's women's division, let's hold our horses on that one. I'm not convinced, because if they really truly wanted to do that, she would have been built up way stronger and probably won a lot more clean than prior. But let's get into the Mission Pro show. It was NomadS Hugar, and there was 3 matches in particular. Renegade Twins, they got themselves DQ'd against Maddie Rankowski and Ratchet Channel. It was okay. The improvements in the women that get booked in Mission Pro is very obvious, and you are pretty steadfast to kind of count your... It's a good chance that a number of these matches from the Mission Pro show are going to be in the next article. So simple little undercard stuff, but there was there's 2 3-ways on this match. Little bit of card shuffling here, but Laney Luck versus Kylan King versus Riley Shepard. They go to a 3-way. Kylan King wins, and Laney Luck and Kylan King really impressed. Riley Shepard still has a ways to go. Her whole gimmick is she's a nerd, and she sure wrestles like one. Kylan King, however, she has immensely improved, and the more time goes on, she's in CCW in Florida. I believe it's in the Jacksonville area, Tampa Bay area, something. And Laney Luck was another. She's a more of the like North Texas indie scene. She's been on AEW a few times. She's massively improved, and between her and Jasmine Allure, who was in the main event, these two in particular are great examples of working with people like La Rosa Negra, Thunder Rosa, and women that want to actively get better. And the Mission Pro is one of the more active indie promotions out there that book women. Well, it's Thunder Rosa, so it's a women's book promotion. So this is their opportunity to get a lot more reps in and practice with each other. And it's paying off dividends. Because when I first saw Laney Luck and Jasmine Allure, I didn't think much of them. They didn't look like everyone has potential. It's just how do you gauge that in wrestling? It's just something clicks with people eventually sometimes. Maybe they get stronger and work out more and they can do a little bit more power moves. You get the idea. These two and the Renegade Twins are grand examples of just your reps are getting in and they're getting more comfortable with who they are and how to present themselves in the ring. And King and Luck mixing it up together was really solid. And speaking of 3-way, before I move on to more Mission Pro, I watched the Warrior Wrestling show, and I'll just talk about the women's match from there, even though Casey Navarro showed up, Psycho Clown showed up. The main event was solid. The another women's 3-way, it was supposed to be a tag match with AQA, but she couldn't make it. There was travel issues, I suppose. So it became a 3-way, and it was Athena, Thunder Rosa, and Sky Blue. And Sky Blue was in over her head in this match. She would have much rather had a singles match between Athena or Blue or any combination of that singles, because when it became a 3-way, Sky Blue was very much the odd person out. The skill level she has compared to the other two was miles below. She had her moments, but the way she moves in the ring versus Athena and Thunder Rosa was very obviously awkward and off step. Athena was all about pulling off various athletic moves, and she was a huge highlight of the match. It is incredible. She's doing outside in tornillos. She's doing pop up Hurricane Ranas. She's doing lip up leg scissors, all kinds of things, and it really pops the crowd each and every time. And Thunder Rosa can and does keep up with a lot of that. She let's not forget, it was a number of years ago. Thunder Rosa was in Lucha Underground, and she was more or less kind of one of the worst people there. But she was willing to get better, and she hit up the indies afterwards and did get better. And that's how she, it's hard work and how you get where they are. So I recommend watching that for Athena. I think I gave it 1 out of 3. I gave the Laney Luck Kylan King 3-way 1 out of 3. The Jody Threat Janai Kai match. I'm still not feeling the Janai Kai look and presentation to her, but this woman and her, she's got a cool name. She's the Kick Demon. It's pretty sick. She was against Jody Threat. You know me. She comes from the Toronto area. I've seen her in the Indies in Toronto when I was living out there, and now she's here in Texas taking on Janai Kai. And Jody Threat's a spunky powerhouse. She does a lot of suplexes, power moves, lots of energy. She's got good timing with things. She does mess some things up here and there, but Janai Kai, she has she's not skipping leg day. Let's put it that way. When she focuses on her like Muay Thai style and can incorporate that into various other offensive moves, like this match saw a lot of that. She's not doing suplexes, but she's transitioning into a lot more seamless ideas that she has in between the match structure that she's having with Jody Threat in this match in particular, and everything came off very well. And they go to a 15-minute draw, and then they go to a 5-minute sudden death draw. So the double draw, if you will, very good. I gave it 2 out of 3. I was way into this. It never reached that extra peak. Maybe not enough time. And saw the same issue in the Athena Thunder Rosa 30-minute draw from last month. I guess it's because I've seen so many draws in Joshi that they just know how to have a fiery finish, whether they're doing a lot of cradles, a lot of pin attempts, or they're trying to go for a huge-ass move, and they hit it and time it with the ring bell so well that the draw has a lot of momentum to it, and you want to see them more. The way the Threat Kai match ended was more of just Threat and Kai on the turnbuckle, and they just kind of push each other off, and then the bell rings. It's like, ugh. And the same thing happened again the second time around. Jody Threat does just go ahead with the move like a good 10 seconds after the bell rings, and then she flips off the ref. I got a kick out of that. And the main event, another 3-way, Holodead defending the title, La Rosa Negra, Jasmine Allure. It was a lumberjack, like beer whatever match. A lot of women on the outside causing mischief. Holodead has the Renegade twins or whatever, and then Jasmine Allure looks like she's going to be in a feud with Lanie Luck. La Rosa Negra has the Renegade twins, and they want to screw Holodead. It was something along those lines. But Holodead comes out of this ahead. The match was structurally fine. I mean, it had its story elements to it. I didn't dislike it. I thought this was pretty damn good. That's why I gave it 1 out of 3. La Rosa Negra continues to impress with every showing. I'm not a big Holodead fan. I think she's a good promo. She's got a lot of charisma and personality to her. I mean, she came out in some wacky, like, X-Men onesie. Who's the shape-shifting chick? Forget her name. Mystique? I think that's who it was. But really, it was all about trying to highlight Jasmine Allure for me. That's what I took out of that. And let's move on to the Joshi news and topics as I play. Well, it's got to be Sakushi, doesn't it? And before I get into the Ice Ribbon ReBorn show, I will mention NomadS update. I'm really into NomadS. They're the freelance group for freelancers by freelancers, and Natsu Sumire is kind of taking on the I guess role of the mastermind, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And one of the caveats to this show is it pretty much has to sell out for them to continue doing more. And clearly it's a financial kind of stability. They don't have to invest or risk a lot of money involved. And if there's my interpretation is they're testing out a market for this thing. Do people even want to see them? And the update is it's basically sold out at Shinjuku Face, so it's not at Shinkiba First Ring or anything. They're going a little bit higher. Big long line outside for them. And if you really want me to get into a lot more detail over this, the state of Ice Ribbon, previewing the Double Sumo Hall show from Stardom, doing in-depth AEW Revolution reviews, go check out my guest appearance on the podcast Strong Stylish. That is Strong Stylish, where I go into a lot more detail over a lot of things, more in real time, especially to the Sakushi news. When that came out, that was even before I wrote the article. I was still kind of brainchilding that. But NomadS selling out without announcing a single match, nor even in a wrestler officially involved with the show in the wrestling capacity. So there's a lot to break down, or at least think about, in terms of NomadS and their initial success right now. So Prominence sold out their little Shinkiba show that they're doing to kickstart their venture. Colors is doing relatively okay as a new group, and the conclusion with NomadS is these indie Joshi companies have been so complacent and stale for so long in having really no new talent come up in prominent roles for them that, and they're at all-time attendance lows, even a few years into the pandemic now, that nobody's growing. Ice Ribbon is having people leave this promotion and retire more and more every year, it seems. So with a lot of women's wrestling fans, or at least what I've been able to gauge in Japan, is they're really dying for something like a second place, if you will. TJPW is so isolated from the rest of the scene that they're just really their own entity and so separatist that you almost can't even include them. They are technically second in terms of Joshi promotions, obviously. The big cyber agent backer, and they're running Sumo Hall. But when you consider you got Ice Ribbons, Seedlings down to 3 people, Wave is about 5 people, Pure J has like 4 or 5 or 6, or how they're all 5 people ish around that marking, and it's just the same talent. They can't keep rookies; they all leave. The ambition to do something different, and there's a huge article over the press conference of NomadS where it kind of tells you what they really want to do, because from one hand, the freelancers, whether they leave a promotion or refuse to sign, it's because if they sign with a promotion, the money is so scarce and the spots are so scarce that they can't really get, I don't want to say over, but they can't, there's no room to grow, get better, and get a higher chance of succession. While in a group like NomadS, they don't have to worry about the politics in between promotions. They don't have to worry about kind of just hanging out on the undercards of these promotions, doing random tag matches. They can really tell their own stories without the handcuffs and limitations of a promotion, because that's just what they are at this point. Ideally, you would like a promotion to kind of rise up, and yeah, they can tell their stories and have their. I mean, Ice Ribbon did it for years. They would fill out the undercards with cool little freelance matches, and then they had a robust roster where they could tell a ton of those stories. They don't have that anymore. In fact, they have nothing. They have nothing like that. So NomadS, when you put all these available freelancers together, they have as good a shot as anybody to try to put on something special. And I'm really rooting for them. There isn't much to root for her right now. And speaking of that, Ice Ribbon had its ReBorn Corkin show, 320 attendance, just not good. It's down year over year. And I realized that when you look at the attendance data, that February and March are generally their lowest attendance months of the entire year. The ReBorn show is kind of a kickstart into where they start getting their real schedule and going. But just from a Cork and Hall perspective, Ice Ribbon's fallen so low that they are on par with the Waves of the world, the Sendai's. Well, maybe not that low yet. Pure J for sure. And that's not good for a promotion that has an infrastructure in place that should and can do more. And they're just not doing that. And the announcement of Sakushi retiring, the current Infinity Champion, is devastating, because so much of this promotion is what was thrown on the back of this woman to carry them through the rest of the year, and she's retiring in less than 2 months. I don't know what they're going to do. You can read my article over on the Patreon, patreon.com/redleafretrocast, where I go into the possibilities of what this promotion could do to try to just kind of kickstart something into a next generation, and what they probably will do based on their history, what Sakushi means to this promotion. Mentioned that she was put in this position to carry this promotion through these tougher times, much like Maya did a few years ago when the promotion was ravaged by injuries, especially at the top. It's dire days for this promotion that really got me into Joshi Wrestling. As for the ReBorn show, Yuki Mashiro doing her thing, that's fine. I would really like to see Asahi and Kaho Matsushita get put into more prominent positions. What did I give this? Let's see here. Yeah, I gave their match against Galaxy Punch, which is good. It's a good development match. They beat. Shimizu and Saki defeated Asahi and Kaho, while the tag title match was the Hoshi family defeating Makoto and Tsukasa Fujimoto, which was kind of surprising. Knowing the history, it's almost match made in heaven that you have a new champion at the top, and Tsukasa finds an interesting tag partner, and they run the tag titles. That's been a formula that's worked for this promotion for a long time. But with the announcement of Sakushi retiring, I guess they really want to keep this Ibuki Hoshi tag title reign going and open up something for Makoto and Tsukasa at the top of the card. I don't think it's healthy for this promotion to have another Fujimoto run anytime soon. They need to do something more with the young talent that they have, and unfortunately, a lot of them are kind of kids. But Ice Ribbon, they have a better culture than most, and the opportunity to move up the card is much easier there than it is in, say, Sendai. The issue is there's no one there to put them over, and I don't know who would put them over to give them Ham's there, Makoto. I think you want to keep strong for title matches. Tsukasa can do tags and maybe put people over. Who knows what Sakushi, she wants to retire with this title. There's options. Again, I go into more thoughts and confined detail in the article I wrote. But I gave 2 stars, 2 out of 3, to the Hoshis against Makoto and Tsukasa Fujimoto. The main event, Sakushi defending against Maiko Ozaki. I don't think this was good. Not really at all. It was short. Maiko Ozaki, I mean, she's improved, but she has no energy to her, no fire. Her gear was a little better, I guess. Couldn't buy any of the near falls. She just doesn't have it. She's a mid-carder, even a low mid-carder. You can't buy her at the top, even with the impending departure of main event talent. And she still isn't there. And she definitely, I mean, maybe there's an Ice Ribbon contingent in Japan I'm not familiar with that believes in her and she has a big following. I don't see it, and I see no evidence based on this attendance number that she's all that interesting to be at the top. So I didn't give that match any recommended stars. It's a complete skip kind of match. And I guess I'll go into New Blood from here. Let me get that drop, because I got a good one I want to play for this one. Let's see. Oh. No. Yeah. right, Micah. Maybe Utami would have been better to play that, but I don't have her new theme. The New Blood show, they sold over 400 tickets. It was like an immediate sellout. The concept of the show, I think, was a complete success. I mean, when it's essentially filled with rookies from outside promotions taking on essentially the various undercarders. I know Tommy's not, but the undercarders and midcarders of Stardom right now that aren't vying for main events, and they go 400 plus, better than essentially all other Joshi promotions. That kind of says more about, I think it says more positively to the fans of Stardom and their belief in getting a good show and interesting shows compared to the rest of the scene. And again, I'm completely punting TJPW off to the side for a lot of these analyses because they are so, like, they announced the Korakuen Joshi anniversary show, and TJPW was nowhere to be found. Even Ice Ribbon's on this card, along with various Stardom wrestlers. Starlight Kid being like the biggest name, and then a bunch of chumps. I'm personally not excited for that Korakuen card. It just looks like random names drawn out of a hat, and then they have to play the political game from there. Mayumi Ozaki and Maya and Starlight Kid doing a Sekigun main event is interesting and funny on paper, but I have no interest in watching that kind of match. So, from a success in the attendance and ticket sales, they are definitely warranted to try a larger venue the next time, because I really hope there will be a next time. Who they were able to highlight from the other promotions, I think, was very successful. Haruka Umasaki comes to mind in that aspect. The JTO girls, I think, got over big in their match. And then really highlighting the new rookie, Miyu Amasaki, for her, like, immediately establishing her as something more than just a pin eater. Because she joins Queen's Quest directly afterwards. She's put in a big, I can't say like storylines, but she's put into positions already for faction warfare, and she looks like she's going to be a not totally protected act, but they do believe in her and certain moves and what she's able to pull off. So I think you have to look at this entire show as a resounding success from everything that they wanted to accomplish. Momokogo defeated Sayaka. Ahausen and Maria. Maria really came across all of this looking extremely strong. She was the only outsider that got any sort of victory, and a resounding one at that, submitting Waka Tsukiyama. While the Unagi and Maria dynamic was very fun and very good. The Unagi versus Marvelous storyline is hilarious and great. And I really I'm not into Ihausen. I need to see more from her. I'm not buying it yet. They just kind of keep her in a swimsuit, and there's nothing wrong with the old school presentation to it. It's the archaic booking that I have more issue with than anything else. It's an aesthetic business. The industry is not in 1980 anymore. You need to change with the times or be left behind. That's the mentality that I have. The DDM 15-minute draw was solid. Mai and Mirai against Lady C and Saya Kamitani. Very good that they got Saya Kamitani on the show. I would have actually liked to see this higher up the card, but with the storylines and goals of going forward, this probably was a good place for it in the end. Hanan and Saya Ida against the JTO girls, Aoi and Tomoka Inaba. Inaba came across extremely well, and Aoi has a ass ton of charisma. It's not 2 packs of ass, it's more like 6 packs of awesome. Her breakdance gimmick makes her immediately stand out from anybody else. She's got good height to her, and Saya Ida's return match, she just destroys her with lariats. Saya Ida, if she can pull out like camel clutches and chainmail on her head and just call herself Saya Steiner, I'd be all for it. Inaba is she wants to challenge for that future title. If this match happens at like a New Blood 2, I think her with the future title would put her on the same trajectory as Micah from that point forward. And that really interests me, because if this JTO group can be a feeding ground for Stardom, they don't need to worry about their own dojo system. They can concentrate on cards and getting their own wrestlers better once they get to a point, while JTO can worry about the training and getting people ready. Think of it like single and double A. That's what JTO is. While I'll be nice and call like the rest of the scene triple A, but they can operate on their own ticket sales, while Stardom's the major leagues. And if you can get a rookie or a sophomore or what have you, like an Aoi and a Naba coming through your single A, double A system, then they'll be ready for the majors sooner rather than later. Starlight Kid and Ruaka defeated Umasaki and Nanami. And the big talking point is Haruka Umasaki and Starlight Kid. They're starting a big storyline against each other. Umasaki wants a piece of Starlight Kid and vice versa. This New Blood show had its own storylines and this was super interesting. Because if there's more shows, then they can just have these rookie and sophomore storylines going against each other, like a Mai Sakurai and Waka Tsukiyama, or a Lady C trying to level up against Mirai and Mai herself. And something like a Starlight Kid Haruka Umasaki match would be interesting for a future New Blood show. That tells me a good little main event possibility. And it gives Haruka Umasaki more opportunities to get better with higher level workers like a Starlight Kid. Because I hate to say it, like I'm a fan of hers, but I hate to say it, I think she's reached a ceiling in her development right now, especially considering the type of matches I'm always seeing her in, and not getting big positions, not getting opportunities to really showcase and get better, which is ironically a lot of my issues with the Western scene. And if there's more New Blood shows, and maybe there's opportunity on more Stardom house shows for Haruka Umasaki, then she can get better and raise her stock. And of course, the main event, Utami defeats Miyu Amasaki in 12 minutes. Utami gave her a lot. Miyu got to show off a couple of her high-end roll-up moves, clearly taught by Milano Collection AT. This dude is teaching a lot of Dragongate isms, and that's a good thing, especially when it comes to the women. It just translates so well to them and their abilities and the style. And Miyu's got a good-looking dropkick. Definitely has some power behind it. Even Kairi herself was speaking highly of her. And she's got immediately upper-level type gear, so she doesn't stand out as less than. And that's really important. You don't want to present her as this rookie that's going to lose for the next 3 years, when it's more interesting that you made a big deal out of her, and she's going to have importance to the Queen's Quest group rather than just stick her in a match and she eats a pin. Coming out of the show, you believe that she could possibly win a match for her team. She's a rookie player in the starting lineup right away, rather than he's going to sit the bench and be a role player for 2 years before he gets his shot for 27 minutes. This is way more interesting to me, and the way Utami came across, giving her as much offense as she did, I see this as a resounding success. Excuse me as I drink some water. So I'm looking forward to more. We got a major double shot sumo hall show. And again, if you want much more preview and detailed thoughts, because, I don't really do preview shows, head on over to Strong Stylish, one of the recent episodes, or a guest host, and cover a lot of that. That will be it for Stardom. Does this take us into Dragongate? It sure does. Okay. Dragongate time. Very fun. Dragongate, Champion Gates. As I get a message. Okay, no big deal there. Down year over year, but also a push on day 2. So it's what they do is they run 2 shows in Osaka at Edion Arena 2. Not very big. You'd think at this point in time they would at least try a little bit bigger type places, especially when you're doing double title shots, title matches on back-to-back nights. But day 1's down year over year, at least 100 people, 200 people over the last couple of years in COVID. And then on day 2, they kind of broke even at 500 year over year. I believe that's the max attendance they can get in this arena. I think. As far as I remember, anyways. So, really, the big takeaways are the title matches. On day 1, outside of the title matches, I didn't really recommend anything. On day 2, I really got a kick out of the Gold Class Zebrats match. Gave that, I think, 1 out of 3. And the 8-man tag, Natural Vibes against High End, I gave 1 out of 3 as well. So those are fun. The matches themselves, the title matches. The Bravegate match, Dragon Dia defeats Fujiwara in 11 minutes. Takuma Fujiwara, he's only he debuted in like October. Here we are in March, and he's already in big Champion Gate match, going for the Bravegate. The guy's got a ton of ability, and the promotion clearly believes in him, and I totally see why. There was a mess up of a back body drop, but they quickly audibled out of that and got through the rest of the match, and they just essentially did a lot of lucha libre against each other in high-end moves. No pun intended there. And Dia retains. Got no problem with this move. It would have been quite something if Fujiwara would have won, but hey, when you're 20 years old and you're facing... How old is Dia? He can't be that old. I think he's in his early 20s as well. Yeah, he's 23. This promotion's set up for the future heavily. And the main event was the Triangle title match. Gold Class is the Ishida, Minoura, Naruki Doi, Hot Boy faction now. And even with Takumi... what's his last name? It's Takumi something. Essentially, he's a more shorter individual, and they made him cut his hair like Kota Minoura, and Naruki Doi essentially gave Kota Minoura his own bitch boy. This Gold Class group is absolutely like host club model Zoolander type group. Like if you played the Zoolander song where the guys are like heading, they got their frappuccinos and they're in the Jeep, and the what is that song? It's like dun 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 dun. I can totally like see that music coming out to Gold Class as they have their gold robes and they're looking around. So that music's playing. There's like, do you want a drink? And they hit me with blue steel. That's this group. Anyways, they kicked the shit out of Natural Vibes. It was awesome. This is immediately the top faction in the entire company. Zebrats is heel group, so we'll just they're kind of off to the side. Don't worry about them. But this trios match was everything you want to see out of Dragongate. It's been a long time coming since we saw a high-end Triangle Gate match like this. I went full 3 out of 3 on this. It was easy. I went 2 out of 3 on the Dragon Dia Fujiwara match, by the way. It was, and it's all about Kota Minoura in Gold Class, and that's very important. Like even though Naruki Doi is kind of the owner of the club, Kota Minoura is the bottom bitch. You know what I mean? He's the moneymaker. He's the guy that if he quits, this group goes down. This host club's closing. The modeling agency will be in dire straits on that runway. Take whatever funny reference you want to go with. So, Kota Minoura just absolutely obliterates. I believe it was JFK Kamai in the match. Highly recommend it. It only has like a 7.87 on Cage Match right now. That's not right. Cage Match is weird with Dragongate because there's just not a lot of people that watch Dragongate in the West, even though they are filled with good matches and good storylines. And then we cut to night 2. I kind of went over the recommended matches there. Twin Gate title match. I'm really not into this Eita Santa Maria Love Sick storyline that they're doing. I know it's a little bit on the long term of many years, and Maria wants Eita, but with Eita kind of kicking it and winning the junior title in Noah, which do I want to see that Harada match? I kind of do. I don't want to watch Noah, but I want to watch Eita. Anyways. Daya and Yoshioka have an official team name. They're De Courage. I don't know if they're purposely going for something French, but that's what they are. That's their team name. It's like a Daya and Dragon Courage. I think Courage means, is that a play off of Yoshioka in Japanese? I think it might be. Hio and SB Kento finally got kind of a redemption tag match because Kento, when they won the tag titles, the Twin Gate titles, Kento had that wacky injury at the end of last year, and this was their redemption match, and they absolutely came to play. Santa Maria doing her shtick. Not into it. This is a Twin Gate title match. I don't need your comedy to be here. When she gets serious, that's better, because she can go. She can go well. But she's too worried about kissing people and doing this. It's not for me. While you have Dai and Yoshioka now stringing together a lot of tag moves. They're really giving me Naruki Doi Yoshino vibes right now, but in a different dynamic way. But this could be a team that's here for the long haul, and as you get guys that are like an SB Kento and Fujiwara, and let's see, who would be, I guess Shimizu you can throw in there. You can throw Kamai in there. When they start getting higher and higher up the card, Dai and Yoshioka could be this tag team that carries this section of the card for years, and you don't need to worry about pushing Dai into a singles role when you have this successful tandem. So Maria pins Kento, flash pin style, gets a big pop, 14 minutes in, and then Yoshioka actually pins Eita 16 minutes. And there was really good near falls near the end, especially those last 2 minutes. I would say the last 5 minutes, even though all three teams were in there. The objective of going in and out between the team members and the Lucha rules, just they know this so well and can go in and out. I gave this 2 out of 3. I don't think it reached as high energy as the Triangle Gate match, but it was almost there. It was just too much shtick from Santa Maria. I think that really held it back. And then Kai defeats Big Boss Shimizu, the same roll-up pin he beat Yoshida with last month. This was like an open weight title match in New Japan. This was like a Wrestle 1 main event. It's a more traditional styled main event title match that, in this case, only went 18 and a half minutes. And that plays to Kai's strengths. And with Shimizu being a big powerhouse, even though he can do the fast Dragongate style, that's not Kai's thing. And when I was watching this, I think it played off of Kai way better than, say, Dragon Dia trying to do a lot of Lucha Libre in and around Kai, while Kai is this shitbag heel who talks shit about rolling up people isn't a real win when he himself is doing it. That's good character work and good stuff, and there's not a whole lot of Zebrat's interference, if at all, so I'm not taken out of the match completely, and I'm not rolling my eyes. And Shimizu has been pinning this dude all over house shows. Kai did it first and trying to get under his skin, So Shimizu's getting over the La Magistral Cradle. He's getting over the shot put slam. The shot put slams were like super protected, but you get the idea. He's getting the splash over. He's just pinning Kai in all these different maneuvers. So when they got to that point in the match, and it was spaced out well, hit him with the move that pinned him before. Ooh, it didn't get him. And then as the match goes on, when you hit more and more moves, you start buying these near falls, and I bought a good chunk of them. Because I really don't like Kai. I want to see him lose this title, and I do believe in his heel work, and I do like the Zebrats group happening here. It's just when you start booking things like Yoshida before that, and you just want like this filler defense, you just completely lose me, and it makes me lose steam in rooting for and against a person. Shimizu goes with a shot put slam, and that's how he gets rolled up. So very solid. I went full 3 on this. I heavily enjoyed it. I think it's the best Dragongate match of the year. If you're more into the traditional Dragongate style, then the trios match, I think, would appeal more to Dragongate fans in particular. But if you're like a New Japan fan, you want a nice like 20-minute open weight title match that doesn't involve headbutts, this is your best bet. And I think that's taking us into... Oh, what's the next one? There's Dead or Alive. That's in May. Yeah, I guess April, we're just going to be building up to Dead or Alive. So we got some KBS Hall shows in Kyoto, and we got some Korakuens where we can get some work done. And I'm really wondering what's up next for Dragongate. It was a good weekend. They did what they needed to do to get the ball rolling. It really felt like they were spinning their wheels the last 2 months. Excuse me. And now that we can gear up for something like a Dead or Alive, I think these Korakuen Halls are going to be must-watch going forward. Dragongate's doing a lot of storytelling over high-level matches right now. And maybe that's needed in the Japanese wrestling scene. Rather than just seeing these good matches, you can invest in the characters and the arcs more, and you'll have shows like this where you can get the bigger matches. Maybe there's something to that. I definitely see the appeal, for sure. That'll take me into AEW. AEW Revolution and fallout of Dynamite that happened. Look, Revolution, all-time great pay-per-view. Even the buy-in was heavily worth investing your time into between the Hook match, beating up QT Marshall, which is funny. Layla Hirsch and Chris Statlander. Statlander's amazing. She's able to overcome like almost anything with her just sheer strength and power. And her wrestling a lot of men probably attributed to that, because Layla Hirsch was kind of a mess in that match, and she's on a streak of bad matches. She had a bad match against Thunder Rosa on Dynamite. She cheated in this match, so there's your weapon interference or distraction that plagues women's wrestling outside of Japan. The House of Black versus Death Triangle trios match in the buy-in. Like, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 8 out of the 11 matches, you could argue 4 stars or higher, if you're going by that 5-star scale. So essentially all the women's matches were bad, essentially. So, like I said, strong, stylish, full card review. What I'm going to do here is kind of incorporate the Dynamite from Revolution with what we saw. And the Kingston Jericho match was a big part of that, where the whole match was doing something out of 90s All Japan, and Chris Jericho loses the stretch plum of all things. Kingston gets the big pay-per-view win, and that sets up the first angle of Dynamite, where Jericho shakes his hand, but then 2.0 come out. And immediately you notice they just kind of shove Jericho off to the side, and he goes down, and they're beating on Kingston. They'll go over to Jericho, like kind of put their knee on his chest, kinda. They're not really striking him. They're not beating him up. They're biding their time, and I caught it immediately. It was just so awesome to see unfold, because Jericho. I mean, his song is Judas. he's all about the betrayal. And so Santana Ortiz come out, and they hand Jericho the bat. They turn on him. It's 2.0, Garcia, Jericho, Hager, Jericho Appreciation Society. That's entertainment. Phenomenal angle following a phenomenal match. Really, really enjoyed it. It was just a home run. My match of the night was the AEW Tag Team 3-way match. So very good weekend for trios matches and 3-ways of variety, including women's wrestling, even though I didn't rate them highly. They were among the best, relatively speaking. But Young Bucks, look, when it comes to this style, where it's that mixture of utilizing Western tag rules mixed in with Lucha Libre, the Young Bucks are the innovators of this hybrid style. And when you get the veteran tag team of Red Dragon and the new tag team of Jurassic Express, for 20 minutes, these guys just knock it out of the park and absolutely kill it. The near falls were incredible. I mean, the whole sequence where Jungle Boy hits a shooting star press to like break up a submission by Kyle O'Reilly, and then Matt Jackson comes in and does a 450 to break up the next version. It's just insane. Lots of super kicks, lots of Canadian destroyers, lots of awesome. Wardlow wins the ladder match, which sets up his big promo that he's breaking off from MJF. And I'll just go straight into it. The dog collar match was great storytelling. It's one of the best storytelling and feuds of the last decade, I would say, in North American wrestling, because they beat the hell out of each other. It played into the Wardlow storyline with MJF, where Wardlow now has his TNT title shot coming. That when MJF called for the ring, he forgot it, and then when CM Punk took him down, GTS, and then he takes the bump into the tax. Wardlow reaches into his other pocket, pulls it out, and he just goes, "Oops!" The best body language. The crowd goes insane. He doesn't hand it to CM Punk. He just kind of looks in the eye and places it on the mat, and that's how. And Punk gets the knockout for the win. And he came out to his old Ring of Honor music, AFI. Watching it in chat with everybody, we're just like, that must be his old Ring of Honor music, and then Excalibur immediately confirmed it. We're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I don't know why people are freaking out about it on Twitter. It's very strange. The Moxley-Danielson match was at the beginning was a victim of the Britt Baker-Rosa match being bad. And this is where I'll argue against a lot of these pundits and other podcasts out there. Every single match on this entire card, the crowd was into it. There was a lot of energy. There were chanting. But when that Britt Baker Thunder Rosa match happened, the build's been bad. Thunder Rosa's ice cold. They haven't done well with this. And when you put them out there for 18 minutes to have just another cookie cutter Britt Baker finish with the interference multiple times, essentially House of Torture, it really takes the air out of the crowd. And the beginning of the Moxley-Danielson match suffered a lot from that. So I did have to rewatch the match, and I still immensely enjoyed it, but the taste never went away. And I really felt like the women's title match wasted a pay-per-view match. Just to get Thunder Rosa the title shot at St. Patrick's Slam a year after the Lights Out match. The structure and timing of the booking of the women's division continues to be last place in the eyes of the promotion, and it's time that we just accept that this is what it's going to be. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Until I am proven wrong, this division is just on the back burner, and it's kind of not worth my time anymore to complain. It's just, hey, if there's a good match, I'll say it's good. And other than that, it's just, it's not worth the conversation. William Regal came out at the end of Moxley-Danielson because Danielson got pinned by Moxley and they still wanted to fight, and Regal slaps the shit out of them. And they look like they're going to be at least a tag team with Regal as their manager for now, which rules. Which rules. Sting jumped off a balcony through a bunch of tables. And Matt Hardy ate the pin in the Tornado Trios match. That led to the next Dynamite where Andrade and company kicked out Matt Hardy, and then Jeff Hardy made the save. So the Hardy Boys tag team are having their 4th reunion. People like the Hardy Boys. I'm kind of over them. I don't know. I'm not convinced. Matt Hardy definitely can't really go anymore without Plunder. Maybe Jeff can still go. I don't know their motivations. I don't know the extent of their abilities at this point in time. Maybe they can pop some numbers here and there. I'm not convinced. Page and Cole, 26 minutes, big main event. This was my second favorite match of the night. I adored this. I've seen people describe it as an NXT takeover main event. And hey, if that's your description, cool. I love those. Those were all awesome. Filled with near falls, lots of false finishes, really indicative of what you love in a world title match. Everything feels important. It made me buy into the fact that Cole could possibly win, which was hard to do for this match. And by that regard, I mean, they went through tables. It was night of the tombstones, night of the pile drivers, night of the super kicks. And this match was kind of the love child to the entire night. I always like it when you can kind of pick a theme out for an entire night. Just like on the Beyond show, where seemingly after every match, everyone called out Biff Busick. At Revolution, it was everyone wanted to do a tombstone and super kick to try to put their opponent away, and it never worked. I love that. Adam Page is heading on to an all-time world title run. Each title run is better. Each AEW title run has been better than the previous one, which is very tough to do in a lot of regards. I can't say that the tag team, I think, is a little bit harder because the Young Bucks had an incredible run, great heel run. Didn't like that July that they had, that stretch, but the whole kind of promotion suffered through that time. Let's see. Cargill beat Conti 7 minutes. Jade Cargill is like the most interesting woman on the roster. Like, she's consistently booked to her abilities. They don't overdo things. The match structure is definitely having a lot more care into it than others. You can tell that there's a lot of people producing and guiding through the work. And with the exception of that bunny match, which was an atrocity, another example of these women from 10 years ago just can't do it, not comparatively. Cargill is a superstar in the making, and she's kind of already there, but the more her ring game improves, I mean, she busts out a frog splash in this match. It was sick. I think that's all for Revolution. Did I miss anything on Dynamite? Let's see here. Scorpio Sky won the TNT title against the injured Sammy Guevara. Paige Van Zant hits the ring, beats up Ty Conti, and signs her contract on her ass. I like that. Paige Van Zant is awesome. She has a lot of star potential in herself. And if they kind of treat her in the same vein that they booked Jade Cargill, not with her hanging out on Dark for a while, but with the same, at least, level of care, which it sure seems like they will, that's another kind of superstar in the making, and I'm all for it. Scorpio Sky as champion, I'm of two minds. If he's a transitional champion for Wardlow, that's okay. But the story points to more Wardlow is going to lose this thing due to MJF in some way, and then that sets up Wardlow MJF, which is a match that has been built a long time, and that will leave Scorpio Sky with the TNT title, and he can feud with other guys to be at that level, like an Orange Cassidy, Guevara, Darby Allin, etc. Which is fair. I actually think that's a better idea, My main issue is Scorpio Sky has been off television and off not wrestling on Dynamite or Rampage for so long. This title reign immediately feels cold. And the fact that I can just say, yeah, he can lose the title next week and that's okay, that's a problem in my mind. And I already mentioned Thunder Rosa, Layla Hirsch. That match sucked. Thunder Rosa's going to probably win the title in the cage match and will... I mean, they're going to bleed and everyone's going to freak out and there's going to be a contingent that's like women can't bleed, and then there's going to be a contingent where they'll think the match is immediately awesome because the women will bleed. They need to, in my mind, they have to put on a good match. They have to. This Thunder Rosa reign has to get off to a strong start, or it's going to be immediately left behind. And as for New Japan, the New Japan Cup, I've only seen nights 1 through 3. The big matches are Okada Desperado, which told an amazing story of Desperado the Jr. needing to earn Okada, the heavyweight's respect. Okada did not want to pin him with the Rainmaker, but Desperado got it out of him, and that's how Okada beat him. And then the Shingo Ishii match. I like this one more than their G1 match last year. The lariats and Shingo's ability to come off the ropes. I mean, this is nothing new if you've seen Shingo matches, but the ability to come off the ropes and transition into big power moves are bar none. I adored that match. Both those matches got 3 out of 3, and that's kind of all I got to say over the New Japan Cup. A lot of the beginning matches I've been punting because it's like Rookie here, Aaron Hanare there, Chase Owens over there, House of Torture. I'm like, I'm not watching that. No interest. I will stay out of that. I have heard Minoru Suzuki and Hiromu was very good. I am going to take a break for a minute, catch my breath, drink some water, rest my throat, and when I come back, we'll do some WXW and the retro stuff.
Rauchen ist tödlich, aber Bobby Guns ist Killer.
WXW 16 karat gold. 16 Karat ist here. What a tournament this was. The big 3 days has finally come for the first time in a couple of years. Carat Noir won a couple of years ago. We're back here at the Turbina Halle in Oberhausen. 7:30 the first night. 7:50 sold out the next two. Just excellent attendance overall. It's what they needed. And it was a big showing. And if you don't know what WXW is, you can go back and listen to from a couple years ago where I would cover this promotion monthly. Every episode would have WXW on it. It would have Joshi on it. This promotion is very much in line with what I like to cover, and I had 1, 2, 3-star matches up and down. 1, 2, 3 recommended match star recommended matches all across the 3 nights, and when I come across something that's worth going into big discussion about, because overall, my description of this tournament is it's a great jumping on period to get into WXW, what it's about, what they can offer, and in my opinion, what they can offer is you as a fan, if you invest in this, you will get your storylines paid off one way or another. If there's one thing this promotion has constantly proven to me is they are very good at alternating from various paths when things go wrong. And immediately before the tournament started, Biff Busick couldn't make it, so they had an alternate 5-way match to get people in there. And then Marius Al-Ani got hurt coming out of the first round, so they had another way to get someone else in the match that made it seem seamless. Absolute Andy was announced as sick, so he had to vacate the Shotgun title. Maybe not the best way they went about it, but when it came to the third day, they pivoted to a place where you left the weekend feeling satisfied rather than what happened on day 2 because the match wasn't able to happen. I did watch the Ambition show, and you know me, I'm not a UWF guy. I pretty much hate that shit. And the only match I kind of was into was the Bobby Guns Abe final, and I gave that 2 out of 3. Irie Abe, they punched each other like a few times, and then every other match was kind of short and half shooty. I don't like that stuff. I think it's terrible, pretty much from top to bottom. But let's get into the first night, where we start off very hot, and looking back on it, this immediately began one of the big stories of the tournament, and that was the heel turn of Robert Dreisker. The over the last couple of years, he's taken over the VXV Academy. He is the main coach there. It used to be him, Walter, and a few other guys. And basically, Walter, of course, signed with the Fed, and a couple of the other guys got in trouble and fired. So it's essentially just Dreisker, and Ano Merrick is his kind of pupil. And there was the big storyline of Maggot and Heisenberg and Baby Allison taking him out in his own match, the Steel Cage, where he's undefeated. They got him and kind of made the Academy look like fools, and this has been a storyline that has now turned to Dreisker, that he must now concentrate more on himself and accomplish what he wants, rather than worry about all these damn kids. And the first round match was him against Fuminori Abe, and it's like VXV never left my life. I said on the last podcast that I thought Fuminori Abe was going to go like all the way to the finals and lose. Little did I know that was actually the plan for Ambition, and not this tournament. Because as tradition is, when I predict 16 karat gold, my finalist or predicted winner will lose in the first round, and a guy I think is going to lose in the first round is actually going to like almost win this thing, or win it outright. Whether it's Lucky Kid or Carnoir or whoever. Just very, very bad luck. And one thing that VXV is, I think, one of the better promotions that book outsiders the way they do is throughout this tournament, they reward you for investing in outsiders that come in frequent enough where they don't feel like it anymore. Shigehiro Irie, Jonathan Gresham are among a couple of those guys that have stuck around over the many years now, while they still highlight their homegrown talents that have been on all of the house shows and all of the monthly shows year in and year out. And Dreisker, Al-Ani, Bobby Guns, those guys are very much a part of that. So Abe and Dreisker have a short, and a lot of the first round is short, like 8 to 13 minute matches, depending. Just kind of an in and out kind of situation. That's what first round tournaments are. Generally, you might get the main event going, 15-20, which it did here, because they want to give you a good main event rather than just a short one. And Dreisker, while he's a solid guy, I like him more in tag matches, especially his old team with, what was his name? What was his old tag team partner's name? He retired in 2018 due to neck injuries. Let's see. Julian Nero. Yeah, Monster Consulting. That brings me back. Also part of Cerberus with Ilya Dragunov. Yeah, Julian Nero. Miss him. So I prefer Dreisker in the tag role rather than singles role, but he really showed out for the booking behind Dreisker was extremely solid, where they put him over as the old Avalanche character, essentially, where he's the heavy, he's going to hit you with the big power slams, he's the thick man. So one of the big objectives was put over the Dreisker bomb, the Vader bomb, as strong as possible, and they accomplished that here in the first round match. Cara Noir defeats Heisenberg. Blackout sleeper hold, 6 minutes. Bad match. Heisenberg can't work yet. Not much we can do there. And then my favorite match of the first round and my second favorite match of the entire tournament is Peter Tahani and Igor Blanc from France. So we got Hungary versus France here. Went 13 minutes. It is awesome. It's everything that you've come to expect from like the American Indies, a junior heavyweight New Japan match, where it's a lot of highly athletic moves, a lot of lucha libre off the ropes, and this is a style that I am all for seeing in the WXW ring because it's smaller and guys try to do this like power catch style combo. And there's just not a lot of these high flyers in Europe. Now that we have guys like Ayo Blanc and Peter Tihanye bringing the style in, they offer something very unique to the promotion and very unique to themselves that can get them over with the crowd. And this crowd just loved this match. I loved it. It has an 8.0 on Cage Match right now. It's I think it's higher than the main event personally, but that shows you how much people like it. And then one of the big stories of the tournament was Lufisto. First woman to ever compete in Zexane Karat, and her style was just, I'm going to pummel these dudes and prove just because I'm a woman, I belong here. And I've said this in the past, Lufisto looks great. She's in the best shape of her career in a long, long time. And her first round match against Dennis Dulnig, this dude was the perfect first round match where he's like this half comedy guy, but he can work. So it's very, like, he has his quirky little personality, and he's at first not taking Lufisto seriously. He's like, I can, it's a woman, I can take her, no problem. And Lufisto just pummels this dude. And Tiger Driver, and we're out of here. Mario Solani takes on and defeats Michael Knight, 8 minutes. This is a match I'd like to see later in the year for a more, with more time. This felt like a preview for something that we could get in the future. And Alani hits him with Diamond Dust. Not much of a match. And he does injure his shoulder in this and had to pull out. Maggot defeats AC Romero, 13 minutes. This went on way too long. Ace Romero has put on all the weight that he lost. He can't move. He can't work. And this was actually the beginning of Maggot's face turn across the tournament. He's got his thorn crown on. Baby Allison's with him. And his music is super addictive, and his body language and the way he comes down and is able to interact with the crowd. He got, let's see if I can find his entrance music, because it's a big part of his complete fate. And because he won the cage match, that put him over super strong. That, let's see here, WXW Maggot theme. Let's see if they got it here. I think this is it. Yeah. Let me play this for you guys. It's so addictive. I got to make a drop out of it. I'm just going to play that out in the background as I review the rest of the first round. It's only a couple minutes. So yeah, Maggot, AC Romero, not good. I hope this. I hope I got the levels right, but whatever. It'll stop in a second. Shigeru Irie defeats Senzo Volto, 13 minutes. This was solid. It was fine. Senzo Volto, luchador, another kind of high flyer from France. I like him. I saw him in the German Wrestling Federation and the Berlin promotion. Irie continues to work his hardest to try to not just win 16 Carat, but also try to win a main event in this promotion. And more on Irie when we get later on. And then Gresham defeats Bobby Guns in the first round. This was a resounding success on a couple occasions where they don't want to immediately put in Bobby Guns back into the main event the way they do. I thought he was more primed for something bigger because this was his first ever 16 Carat try. But Gresham also has a long-term story within WXW, and the way they kept Bobby Guns relevant and highlighted throughout the weekend was adding him to Ambition and winning it, because he's a catch wrestler. He prides himself on being the best catch wrestler in Europe. So they put him over Super Strong there. And then there was the surprise tag gauntlet where him and Michael Knight now have that mutual respect for each other. Yeah, I love that song. I'm going to have to make a drop out of that for sure. Oh, the Stephanie Mays entrance theme is also on VXV. Let's see here.
Take a look in the mirror. Ask yourself this. You ever feel like your hands are sitting in quicksand with metal cuffs around your wrists? Because that's not life. That's not bliss. Now reminisce about days living like this. Like clench your fists. Today marks a new day when you make a switch.
All right, enough of that. I'm having too fun looking up themes. You guys got to realize, I watched this company for years and was not able to hear their entrance songs and themes because they were copyright striked. They couldn't get the licenses to properly play them on the streaming service for whatever reason, and now they can, and now we actually hear these things, and it makes it's amazing what music makes a difference for. Gresham and Guns had a very solid first round match. I would put it top 4 or 5 of the entire tournament, probably. Let's go on to night 2, just really quick. So Hector Invictus was an alternate. Irie beats him 7 minutes. Gresham defeats Peter Tahanye in 7 minutes. Excellent match. Gresham is on a roll right now. When he's not doing his dumb Pure Rules nonsense and getting cute with finishes, his whole style is so unique to him, and he knows himself so well. And this is so important when it comes to a wrestler and his in-ring ability. And Gresham's all the way there. Tahanye was trying to do his high flying, and Gresham was just that level above him. This was a perfect place for Tahanye to go out in the way he did. He got to highlight himself against Aigo Blanc and put on a great effort against Gresham, who is a main eventer. I do recommend this one. I went 2 out of 3 on here. Lufisto defeats Maggot, very much the same as the Dulnig match, but Maggot was a little bit more credible, and they went almost 12 minutes, and another example of Lufisto just really bringing it, and the booking of her was fantastic against the couple of opponents that she had. It's like the luck of the draw kind of situation, and made her come across as credible. It's not like she was put up against Invictus or Tahanye or anybody like that. It was a good matchup that you could buy either opponent winning, and it made for a better match. Dreisker defeats Carat Noir, much like in the same vein as the Abe match. Dreisker bomb puts him away quick. They did a little weird thing with Anil Merrick on the outside, where Dreisker wanted him out and Noir wants him there. Then there was a distraction type deal going on. Not like directly distracted, it's just they kind of distracted themselves due to Anil Merrick and their obsession with him. So it looks to me that Anil Merrick, Carat Noir, Dreisker, and a couple other guys are going to have stories going on coming out of 16 Carat based off of matches like this. Tag Team Gauntlet. I already mentioned this. This is where Bobby Guns and Michael Knight were the last team out, and they're going to be a big tag team going forward in this promotion. And just before this match, and after in the show, they announced that Tag League is going to be returning, so that's kind of why this match was there. It gives you a big highlight of what the tag division is going to be in VXV going forward. So you'll have Team France, that's Blanc and Volto. You'll have Rotten Flot, big asshole heels. It would shock me if they weren't in contention for the tag titles throughout the year. Dulnig and Invictus are a very endearing tag team. And Norman Harris and Sebastian Schwab, not feeling them. Norman Harris, he's got to get back into shape. Like, he was a shitbag heel. He worked through the pandemic, had that good payoff with Absolute Andy, but there needs to be something more with him. And there's a reason why he was kind of left out of this tournament. They had better booking ideas throughout, guys that they wanted to bring back, like Irie and Gresham. And they didn't want to beat him. And that's also important. I think Norman Harris is a long-term project in this promotion, and this was a way to kind of keep him on the weekend, but not in some major role. Everyone had their story to tell through the weekend. Ninja Back defeats Ace Romero for the vacant shotgun title. Another bad match from Ace Romero. He was definitely my what would be the opposite of MVP. Oh boy, Ninja Back did his 630 Phoenix Splash, which is absolutely incredible. But look, he's a ninja from Houston. You gotta like the guy. Fast Time Muto and Stephanie Mays took on and defeated the Arrows of Hungary for the titles, and this was a long-term storyline going back from March of 2021, where it played into the Stephanie Mays legit knee injury, where they had to vacate the titles, and that led into eventually Arrows of Hungary. That was in April 21, and that led into eventually to Arrows of Hungary finally winning the tag titles themselves, in which when Mays and Muto went up against them, Stephanie Mays hurt her knee again. And it's very unclear if that was legit or not, but it definitely played into a good story where they had to work themselves back up from that defense to 16 Carat Weekend, where they're trying to win the titles, and they played off it a little bit again. And Mays got the hot tag, and it was all about Mays overcoming her injury and getting the final pin. And Dover and Icarus shook her hand. They were Icarus especially was very mad at himself, and Dover like, get in here and shake their hands. And it was a huge moment for the fans of WXW. I was super happy because I was super invested in the storyline of Mays and Muto trying to get these titles back, and Mays overcoming her injury-riddled past. And they were, she was tears in the ring. Muto was clearly happy. He got this kind of spot throughout the weekend. There was a wacky little ambition match between Muto and Gresham, and they did like a nut shot finish. That's stupid. Why I hate UWF. Shit like that. So, great spot for these two. I believe I gave it 1 out of 3. Because the match was like okay, like from the in-ring perspective, but the story was fantastic. I went 1 out of 3. And okay. Anyways, moving on. Maggot defeats Ace Romero. Bad match. No, that's what am I doing? That's day 1. Jesus Christ. Ava Everett defeats Eva Kolaski for the women's title. A 9-minute match. Very bad. Ava Everett, she's no good. She's brought over her Limitless Wrestling and New England art gimmick, ARTE, Arta. I am art. And she's very pompous, and she's not good. She's not good at this. She doesn't quite have the character down. The whole art group in New England, it's funny because my local indie scene is now in Germany doing their shtick, and Ava Everett doesn't have the group with her. She doesn't have what are their names? Anyways, it's more about them than it is her, and she's kind of the manager on the outside. But hey, Becca was supposed to be here for the weekend as well. I expected they had better ideas for what they were going to do on this weekend, but Becca apparently, I think, doing an indie show in Spain, blew out her shoulder. I haven't even seen her on Beyond Wrestling shows lately either. And there was like a messed up code red into the ropes. Ava Everett does a top rope cutter and essentially necks herself. Like, she essentially like throws herself off and folds herself in half doing the cutter. And then she just kind of picks her up and pins her, and new champion. Kolaski is still on my, I think Stephanie Mays is better, and that's why they have her working with the men right now, and they don't want her to win. They don't want to keep her tied down to just the women's title. So bringing in outsiders to try to get more competition with Kolaski without burning off your very, very thin women's division, this kind of keeps things more fresh. So I totally understand why they made the match. And I wasn't in love with the title change right away because I still think there's a lot of legs with Eva Kolaski. It kind of looks like they're turning her heel, but she's too easy to cheer for. She has a lot of gymnastics background. Her moves just need a little bit more fine tuning. I think she has a much higher ceiling than Ava. How old is Ava Everett? She can't be that old. It doesn't say. Ava Everett's only been wrestling a few years as well. It shows. And then, you know what? I'll just finish the women's match because the women's programs from the weekend. So on day 3, Ava Everett comes out to do another promo, and Baby Allison's music hits, and they have a 3-minute match, and Baby Allison just kind of pins her. And then they have a little tug of war with Eva Kolaski, Baby Allison, Everett just kind of bounces with their title. Waste of time. Not good either. I kind of wish they would have thrown Stephanie Mays into this somehow and maybe put her over strong, but I definitely understand, like, you gave her your moment in the tag title match. Don't want to shoehorn her into something that makes it feel less than. So main event of night 2, which is generally one of the best matches of the entire weekend. It's the VXV Unified World Title. And this year they did a 4-way. It's been 3-ways in the past. It's been a 1-on-1s. It was a 4-way this year due to the wacky, kind of weird finishes behind Axel Tischer's run, whether it's Jurgen Simmons getting poked in the eye, Lavagno getting fucked over by Tristan Archer before his match, and Tristan Archer not getting his due despite having various winning streaks and beating top guys. So here's a 4-way, and this delivered on so many ways. And one of my big not concerns, but one of my big talking points of VXV was they've had to essentially rebuild their entire mid-card and main event. And Axel Tischer was the backbone to get guys into the main event. And Jurgen Simmons was on a long path back. I wouldn't say Lavagno's in the main event, but he's your plucky babyface that you kind of want to put there. I would say Fast Time Muto is on that level. I think Stephanie Mays, depending on how you book her, she has a shot to be in the main event, to be that kind of woman, but I would rather see her stick in the tag title scene and go through like a shotgun title before being shoved in the main event, if we're going to go the intergender route. And I'm a big proponent of the intergender wrestling for WXW at this point in time, especially because the women's division is so thin. And if they're going to get better, they got to wrestle better opponents. They can't just wrestle each other over and over again. There's a ceiling to that. So the main event, Lavagno comes out first. He cuts his believe in love, for the love, stars and destiny and that whole thing. And I'm so glad I speak German, otherwise I'd be super lost in a lot of these promos, because that was one thing. Anytime there was like some big Carat match, the announcer, it wasn't Andy, it was a new guy. It was a new guy they got doing the interviews. He really reminds me of that dude from MTV that was on WCW shows. He would interview them kind of after the match, and they cut like a short little promos. But essentially, everyone's saying, "I'm going to win." So Lavagno cuts his little promo, and then heart balloons fall from the ceiling. And this was great, because I thought it was just going to be for him. What ends up happening is, for each and every wrestler in this 4-way title match, got a super unique over-the-top entrance. Lavanya with his heart balloons. Jurn Simmons had his big music with giant smokestacks blowing as he goes to each of the sides of the ring. Tristan Archer had an entire French Legion come out with the flags, and he got incredible boos because nothing's more heat in Germany than the French. They will always have heat with each other. And man, if I'm, you know what? I'll save that thought for a second. And then Axel Tischer had a live band performance for his cool song. And they had I thought, a very solid 4-way. This worked a lot better because 2 people could kind of brawl outside and 2 people in, and they could switch off accordingly. And they didn't just stick to that formula. They tried some tag team maneuvers. There was 3-way spots. I thought it was super well laid out, and it ends with a pretty damn good finish where Jurn Simmons takes out Tischer with like a top rope Falcon Arrow or something. I can't remember, but Tischer's out, and then it's down to Jurn, Lavagno, and Archer. Lavagno gets Lavagno. Let's see. Yes. Tristan Archer low blows Jurn Simmons, so he's out. And when he did that, like it was going to be like a pop-up move or something, and he just punts him in the dick and pushes him out of the ring. More boos, and that leaves Archer to just take care of Lavagno because there was a Tower of Doom spot with a power bomb, and Lavagno's down. So Archer just cockily picks him up, throws him down, like teabags his face. New champion, Tristan Archer, who was kind of like an MVP type guy last year during the pandemic, and now that the crowd's back and he can get some real heat just by being French and embracing the Frenchness, I could really see, and I kind of want this, is Igo Blanc and Senzo Volto to join him and make a trios team where those two can be in the tag title hunt and kind of eat falls for Archer as he I totally see him being a chicken shit heel, and he's a good promo. He cuts his promos in English. He's got a French accent. He doesn't speak German. So much different nation representation is all over WXW right now. It's such a unique experience when you have all these European countries coming together in a promotion like this. That takes us on day 3. Day 3 I thought was the weakest out of the whole weekend, but there was still some solid stuff there. Dreisker defeats Lufisto 6 minutes. They had a great brawl outside where Dreisker just takes a wicked bump through the chairs as Lufisto tosses him in. There's a missed post shot, so you're starting to buy Lufisto as a possibility that she could beat Dreisker, and then all it took was a counter. Dreisker splashes her in the corner, flatlines her, and then Dreisker bomb pins her in 6 minutes. Puts over Dreisker strong, and he's got an attitude now. He is here to not fuck around. It's all serious. He's going to the finals, baby. And then Gresham-Irie was, in my opinion, the best match of the entire tournament. They beat the hell out of each other. It was a good mixture of technical ability with Irie's strong style. Of course, Gresham knows how to do that. And it went 12 and a half minutes. And once Gresham got the flash pin on Irie is like almost in tears. And everyone feels for him. The crowd loves this man at this point. Big win for Gresham as he goes on to the finals to face Dreisker Avalanche. And everyone bows for Irie. Everyone's chanting his name. And this is now officially a big storyline with Shigehiro Irie, whether it's the 16-carat tournament, especially the 16-carat tournament, or his chances at the title and he can't win it. It's really like anytime he comes back to this promotion now, you can immediately insert him into a story where he fails, and you're really rooting for this guy. And as long as he keeps showing emotion like this, where he cares about losing like this, you got a long, and well-built story when you want to pull the trigger on Irie getting any sort of big victory in WXW, because they bring him back a lot. WXW has a history with Big Japan and Noah and various indies and freelancers, and Irie's like at the top of that list the last I would say 5 years. And I mean, I saw him against Bobby Guns for the world title in New York when I went to the WXW show there. I think he's the favorite for 16 Carat next year. I really do. I think that's a huge story you could tell with him finally winning the 16 Carat tournament, and I kind of think he should lose the title match that he'll get, and so then you can continue the story of him trying to win the big one, and the tournament is the first step to that. Could he just go into the main event and win a title? Yeah, sure, that could work too, but I think the bigger story is the 16 Carat tournament for 2023. I already spoke about Baby Allison Everett. Carat Noir defeats Dennis Dolnig. Dolnig, one of the low-key cool dudes over the weekend. I love Dennis Dolnig now. Dennis Cash Dolnig. Maggot, new shotgun champion after they have a four-way with the Rotation, Ninja Mac, and Ender Kara from the Scandinavian indies. I believe I've seen him in Body Slam Wrestling, the nice little promotion out of Copenhagen, Denmark. Tischer defeats Abe, 11 minutes, solid. Comedy match, trios, Ace Romero, Igo Blanc, Volto against Arrows of Hungary and Tehanye, so Team Hungary over here. They do a big dance routine and then it breaks down, and I believe Ace Romero wins. Whatever. And our main event, Gresham defeats Dreisker in 13 minutes. And the whole purpose of this match was big dude versus little dude. But the way it was structured was Dreisker was pummeling this guy into near falls. He was hitting the Dreisker bomb like immediately, and Gresham escaped to the outside. And Gresham was just fighting from behind with running forearms throughout the entire match. Much in the same vein as a Nagisa Nozaki hitting her running boots. And each time Dreisker would hit another power move, you bought the fall, because the way the tournament was built really felt like Dreisker was going to put Gresham away in less than 10 minutes. And they made you buy into, at any point in this match, that the same thing could happen, while Gresham was trying his best to survive. He couldn't roll this dude up because he's too thick and wide. So his best bet was just trying to cripple this guy slowly but surely. And it was a match of trying to take the legs out and forearming him. Take the legs out, forearming him. Hit a big move, but it would get countered and Dreisker would get a near fall. And Gresham hits one final forearm, pins him, huge victory. He cuts a very good promo post-match about how he likes Europe. WXW believed in him. He doesn't know the situation behind ROH, because something I glossed over was ROH was bought by Tony Khan, and he's the Ring of Honor champion. I saved it for right now because that seems to be very interesting. What are they going to do with Jonathan Gresham? Should they have given him this win right now? I don't think there's really any harm in it, because this tournament functioned as a way to get the people over that they wanted. It gave Gresham, it gave the fans a great winner for the tournament. And that's something different that WXW can get away with, as opposed to like a New Japan. If someone from not their homegrown, let's say dojo system, would win it, WXW kind of has a little bit more luxury because they can go months on end without Gresham coming, and he can just get his title shot and it feels like a big match. While the post-match angle where Dreisker beats the shit out of this guy, and Caspin, the GM, comes down with, and a big part of that story is he had to retire because his back and all his slip discs. Dreisker takes out the back, and it really felt like I got two winners coming out of 16 Carat, and that was both Gresham and Dreisker in their own way. Tristan Archer's the top heel with the title. Very important to notice that Tischer cut a promo post-match saying he's coming for that title, so that's going to be a good singles match to follow up off the show. And Dreisker has some unfinished business with whomever on the roster. I kind of already mentioned that. So we have a upper mid-card new top heel. We have a new main event top heel with a lot of hungry opponents that are focused on beating him, and a new face turn in Maggot in the mid-card with a lot of competition that we can really test what he's capable of. And I could see like a Peter Tahanye Maggot match. I could see an Igel Blanc Maggot match, and a variety from there. I would love to see Dennis Duelnig, but he seems occupied with Invictus in the tag division. There's the structure coming out of 16 Carat, I think, was a massive success in setting up a lot of storylines that you're probably going to see play out in various ways over the next 2 to 8 months. Very exciting. I do recommend all 3 days in their own way. I gave the main event a 3 out of 3. I gave the tournament final a 2 out of 3. I gave Irie Gresham 3 out of 3. And I gave Dreisker Lufisto 1 out of 3. So, like I said at the start of before going into WXW, all up and down the three nights, just littered with well booked matches and tournaments, and good enough, I would say, in pivoting away from things that they had unfortunate events happen to. Okay, 40 minutes over WXW. How about that? And now I can go into, well, AJW. That's gonna. I have a feeling this is gonna be a little bit quicker this time around. Here we go. That LCO drop. Very nice, because then I could clear my throat a little bit there as I do it again. Drink some water. All Japan Women Classics episode 64 from Samurai TV. You can find the full archive on Puroso Dream. Rest in peace. This is, I think this is going to be an expected smaller episode, because it's a hodgepodge of matches from August 30th to November 4th. We're gearing up for the epic Aja Kong versus Bull Nakano title match. So we're kind of filling in the gaps in between. And we got a lot of good like tags and trios matches coming out of here, and some different things. So let's not waste any time. This could be a nice little short episode of the week. And it's from August 30th, 1992, Bull Nakano teaming with Suzuka Minami and Yumiko Hotta. We haven't seen her in forever on these classic episodes. Taking on LCO, Hokuto, Mita, Shimoda. 100-mile-an-hour type match. Everyone trying to do a move, but an opponent would crack them to break them up. Rinse, repeat formula. This was very fun to watch. Like, Suzuka Minami would have, I don't know, Mita in like a powerbomb position, and then from like the corner, Hokuto would come in and fucking slap her face. And then that would cue Mita to get Shimoda in. They do a tag team move to her. And vice versa, Shimoda would have, I don't know, Minami in a like a figure four, and Bull Nakano would come in and leg drop her, or Hotta would come in and kick her face off. And they would do they would go back and forth. Not a lot of high flying, but there was in there. And it ends with Suzuka Minami pinning Shimoda via a German with a bridge, holding the arms down. So a little variation on the German suplex. And funny enough, this is around the time when they've started doing some interpromotional stuff, and Suzuka Minami is very much a part of that, along with Mita, kind of doing appearances in LLPW. And when we really get into 1993, that's when it ramps up. So Minami, we might be seeing a lot more of her. CMLL Women's Championship match. Bull Nakano's our champion. She's taking on Yumiko Hotta. This took place on September 11th, 1992. I wasn't into this. It's lots of kicking and wheel kicks from Hotta. She's got a little bit more variety to her striking, but ultimately it's just Bull beats her down fairly easily. Makes her tap with that over-the-head half crab. I don't recommend this one much at all. I'm just not into Yumiko Hotta matches. I'm really wondering if she ever gets good. I keep being told that she does, but it's not coming. Not here in 1992. Also from the September 11th show, it's Toyota and newly shaven head Yamada coming out of the Grand Prix, taking on Saki Hasegawa and Aja Kong. What a wacky team this is. But Aja Kong, Jungle Jack is no more because Bison Kimura is she's retired at this point for the next couple of years due to that arm injury, neck injury. Ironically, suffered from Aja Kong during the Grand Prix. But Aja Kong keeps losing more teeth by the month. The more we watch her, it's like she's doing bare knuckle boxing in the undergrounds or something. It's real wild. Kong pins Toyota again with a bad looking shot put choke slam. Not a good move. I mean, Yamada got some kicks in on Kong. The Hasegawa moments where she's doing her spinning kicks, she was very much absent for this match. So the focus is all about Aja Kong and Manami Toyota building up their rivalry now because Aja Kong pinned her in the final and now she pinned her here. So we're building something up between Kong and Toyota. And the irony part is Toyota and Kong don't have good chemistry that I'm seeing here in 1992. Which is wild because we know they have just killer matches later in their careers, even a year or two from now. But right now, it's like they're developing the chemistry, and it's very rough to watch. November 4th, 1992, Akira Hokuto versus Kaoru Ito. This was bad. Like, Kaoru Ito, she's not like 1,000 pounds yet. She's still very much a rookie. She's got, I guess, some ability. Akira Hokuto just bullies her sideways for the first few minutes, and then Ito gets some offense in. And then it's back and forth another time, and finally it looks like Ito's going to hit her with a double foot stomp from the top rope again, which is something she still tries to do even in the 2010s journey that we do on the Joshi 2010s journey on the Patreon. So she goes for this last-ditch double foot stomp, and Hokuto blocks this double foot stomp or splash or whatever she was going for exactly with her feet in the air, and Ito just bounces ribs first, another 2 feet in the other direction, and Hokuto just gets up, hits her with a brutal Northern Lights bomb. Lots of Hokuto. It's she just knees on her throat. We're done here. It's a pretty sick finish, but it was a lot more Hokuto selling than I'd like to see against someone like Kaoru Ito at this point in time. But hey, at least this is the start. Hokuto did maul her, and she mauled her so bad Ito's nose gets busted open hard way. So maybe if you're like a sadistic masochist like I am sometimes, especially when it comes to weird wrestling takes, this match could tickle your fancy. And in the main event, God, this went by quick. November 4th, 92 as well. Double Inoue, Takako and Kyoko Inoue, no relation, taking on, well, Team 1986 Gold Combo, Yamada and Toyota. This was easily the best match out of the 5 covered on this particular Classics. It's a real nice hot finish with Kyoko and Manami Toyota. That's the big takeaway here. Yamada, with this new haircut, in my head, I thought that she would have a lot more fire and intensity to her, maybe kicking people a lot harder, and she's just kind of the same old Yamada with a haircut. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. I on this Classics, following the conclusion of that Yamada Toyota rivalry throughout late 91, early 92, and concluding with that hair match, I guess I just had more of a expectation for Yamada coming out of that, especially since she's the one that lost her hair, and I guess maybe they're setting up Yamada and Toyota for a big tag title run. I could see that, but with all of this losing that they're doing, spoiler, maybe not. But hey, they could, we could turn around to the tag league and they win that tournament. And this is part of well, are we in the? Actually, is this part of all the tag tournaments? Hold on. All Japan Women Tag League. Because this is around that time. Tag League the best. That's what I need to type in. Tag League the best. Okay, here we go. 1992. Click on that shit. Yes. Toyota and Yamada are in this. It's Debbie Malenko and Saki Hasegawa, Suzuka Minami, and Yumiko Hotta. So we're right in the middle of it now. October 17th through December 13th, 1992. It's a one-block tournament. Erika Tsuchiya and Yukari Metamari are at the bottom. Miori Kamiya and Karu Ito also at the bottom. Mita and Shimoda not doing well. Wow. They're third to last. And then we got Bat Yoshinaga, Tomoko Watanabe, Team Kickbox or whatever. Takako Inoue and Terry Power. Poor Takako. Suzuka Minami and Yumiko Hotta were combining the Fire Jets and Marine Wolves. Okay. Debbie Malenko. Wow. Okay. So this is a teaser for the finals that we're seeing here. So there's your historical purpose behind this match. Maybe that sets up a Yamada Toyota win? Or wait a minute, no. It's not, because this is not part of Tag League, because Kyoko is teaming with Aja Kong. Very strange that we're just getting random tag matches. Okay, so it's just a cool tag match on a November show. Niagara Driver. Kyoko Inoue lands on Manami Toyota. Eats another fall. Looks like Kyoko Inoue has Manami Toyota's number, and so does Aja Kong. Manami Toyota eaten falls left and right. Toyota must be hungry, eating all those pins. Yeah, very, very strange that Yamada and Toyota are just losing these tag matches when they're not part of Tag League, and it looks like they end up placing second in the table. Well, I mean, I went over all those tag names. It's not like they're, besides LCO, not the greatest. Not the greatest at all. But okay. That does it for a very quick, simplistic edition of AJW Destiny, as I guess that will take me into the next episode. Time for Nitro, unfortunately, but I might have some different takes over Nitro this week. Stay tuned as I play the drop. Okay, boys. Nitro. You know, I do watch this show every 2 weeks. It's a very long journey. It's a very arduous journey. It's very rough. And before I do that, you know what? Screw it. Look on Twitter at BowlingJD or redleafretrocast.blogspot.com for the updated 2022 wrestler rankings, whether it's from the match guide or the ranking episodes that you get. So that's the 15 points for the men, 10 points for the women structure that I've been doing since the beginning, or at least honed it in. And the match guide one is a little bit different. I'll show. I will have the top 10 accordingly posted on Twitter. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and happy. But here on Nitro, it's July 19th, 1999, in Rockford, Illinois. Attendance of 7,500. Our commentators is not Tony Schiavone. It is filling in Scott Hudson, teaming with a very drunk Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan don't give a fuck anymore. This dude is drinking his ass off on these shows. He don't care. He's just having a good time as he watches these shit shows. And we are officially on the road to Road Wild, where we're going to have a main event of Hollywood Hogan defending against Kevin Nash, in which just a week ago, Hogan was a heel. Now he's a babyface champion, and Kevin Nash was the biggest babyface in the company, and now he's a heel. So, you keeping up? We also have tonight, due to Sting's victory over David Flair last week, that we're going to have Sting versus Ric Flair for the control of WCW. So I can't say that we're not doing things in WCW right now. So we get a lot of recaps, a lot of just wacky promos. We see the same Macho Man Seek and Destroy video package like fucking 60 times throughout the show. And then we get Sid Vicious out. He's cutting a promo. I can feel the same thing you fans feel. And it's in his blood. I want Hogan and the world title. And then we get his Stars and Destiny, and it's a Sid promo. They're so weird. Jerry Flynn versus Fit Finlay. This match happened. A lot of dorks come out to take his hardcore trophy car part thing. And Jimmy Hart lures him to the back, and they all beat his ass. It's a no contest. I hate this. J.J. Dillon is in the back with Lenny and Lodi, and they're talking about their wrestling contracts, and they signed on together. No, it's bad. They re-signed with WCW. No raise. I don't know what the point of this was. It's very stupid. Hogan comes out. He's back to his old ways. He's listening to the fans. He accepts Sid's challenge for a title match. Only 5 minutes this thing took. Okay. We get a Flair Sting recap. They play this a number of times. We get a really bad Norman Smiley Lodi match. Norman Smiley teaches, I believe, in the NXT Performance Center, and I believe he was also in the Power Plant. Not a good teaching rating this guy must have. Norman rolls up Lodi for the fast pin. They do some like big wiggle shit, and Norman just kind of bounces. Bischoff jumps in on commentary after DJ Ran plays some more in the arena. Another video of Sting Flair. And then we get Sting Flair. And this is where the show picked up, and I weirdly got into it because they didn't divert from the like 80s, 90s formula that gets the crowd hyped. Sting and Flair work very well together, and they booked it where Sting was the valiant babyface overcoming the shitbag heels with all of that interference, and it turned out to be no avail for the heels, and Sting simply kind of wins, sorta. Because and this is where it lost me, but it's WCW, so I was just like, oh, of course that's what they do. So there's like low blows, there's Asia interference, there's I believe David Flair's out of there at one point, and Sting just like Scorpion Death drops referee David Robinson. I don't know why that's not a DQ, but hey, who cares? And Sting comes back, hits a Stinger Splash on the ref because Ric Flair pulled him in front, and then Bischoff just comes in the ring and just like accept Flair's submission after Sting put him in the Scorpion Deathlock. So I don't know if that's legit or not, but that is something that will be, I guess, explained on Nitro next week. So post-match, Sid comes in, nails Sting before powerbombing Bischoff, and Hogan runs in for the save. So we're doing like 3 weeks of storylines all on this one show for a main event that you know isn't going to deliver. Oh, I forgot about this. Horace versus Rick Steiner. This was awful. Rick Steiner beats him. Horace is bad. Eddie Guerrero versus Psychosis. This was good. Frog splash pin for Eddie Guerrero. Nice little 2.5, 3-star match situation. What's bad, though, is post-match... Oh, my God. Podcast alone, solo. Get you rough. All the luchadors come down and beat up Eddie Guerrero. Until Rey Mysterio comes out for the save, because I guess LWO4 life. You know what I mean? Let's see. In the back, Stevie Ray is talking with Vincent and Bryan Adams to watch his back against the Triad. That doesn't happen. Whatever. Canyon versus Stevie Ray happens. A bad match. DQ as Diamond Dallas Page comes in for the DQ. God, I'm gonna live. I swear. I will live. I will make it through the Nitro review. I will. Robert Vull of Arliss from the HBO parody sports agent show that happened in the late 90s, early 2000s. He's on commentary. Randy Savage versus Kidman happens, because I guess Kidman got 2 over missing that shooting star splash last week. Savage kills this dude, and instead of beating him, he just beats up the ref and gets DQ'd, and the match is thrown out. Oh, wait a minute. Savage chokes him with a Slim Jim. I remember this in the match. I howled laughing. So Arliss is on commentary. He's easy. So for those that don't know, Arliss, I already explained that the show was like this parody of sports, high-end sports agents. Arliss himself, think of like, what's his name? Scott Boras, I think. Big major sports agent of like Alex Rodriguez and Tom Brady and whatnot, where he's just this scummy dude that just rips people off for money, but he's very good at it. Well, cue Dennis Rodman in his semi-drag outfit that he was pulling off in the late 90s at this time. And he's got the feather boa, he's got the lipstick going on, he's licking his lips a lot, he's like blowing kisses, he's very extravagant, he don't say a word. He's just doing his thing. And Arliss hits the ring and he goes, No, Savage, Rodman, you guys don't want to fight? This is a big money match. And I'm signing Dennis Rodman and Savage to a match at Road Wild or some shit. And I'm like, what is going on? It is so bizarre. And Mean Gene's trying to interview between Arliss and Rodman's just like, yeah, I got a hat on, blow some kisses. So weird. Celebrity matches, WCW. All good. They revisit Konnan versus Vampiro again because, well, Konnan and Vampiro happened. Would be a huge match in Mexico around this time. But they just do it on Nitro. It was a DQ last week, and it's a DQ this week because the fucking insane clown posse comes in, stomps Konnan, and fucking Shaggy Shaggy 2-Dope drops a leg drop on Konnan, which looks like it hurt Shaggy way more. Raven's out on the apron just kind of hanging out. Rey Mysterio comes in to tries to save, but he gets laid out and gets a moonsault from Violent J. So let's see. We have the NWO. We have Team Savage, the West Texas Rednecks, the Triad, the No Limit Soldiers, which I think are going to disappear. I can't say they're not like pushing factions and new talent, but they're doing like weird new things, and I'm weirdly into it. Let's see. Nitro Girls, Hogan winning, Buff Bagwell. Oh no. Oh no. This segment. Okay. We have entered the era where Buff Bagwell is a babyface, and he's the easiest, most hateable babyface of all time, and he gets laid out every single week. And then his mom comes later, and it gets worse. I remember this era. What I don't remember is this segment which he's feuding with the Cat. And Buff Bagwell does a parody of the Cat and Sonny Ono. So he has a guy come out with a stereotypical Asian face mask, and Buff Bagwell has brown makeup on. It's not black, it's brown. But because he's so fucking tan, it looks like he has blackface on. And guys, remember, if it feels racist, it's racist. So he does a actually kind of weirdly good impression of the Cat, and he rips off his shtick of like, I'm gonna beat you up, I'm gonna beat you up in the fans, you guys can't handle these lethal weapons. He's doing this. Essentially, the Cat comes out and beats his racist ass. Go Cat. Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn take on Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham. Rednecks for the DQ. And the match was okay, but what happens is the angle afterwards where fucking Shane Douglas comes out and cleans house, and he gets on the mic talking about, you gotta take your spot, nobody's gonna stop you, kind of deal. And there's some ECW chants, a little bit. And this is where even I, as a kid, like, I grew up in Houston, Texas. I didn't know what ECW was. I sure as hell didn't know who Shane Douglas was. I was 99. I was 11 years old. I'm not with any like newsletters or dirt sheets. No clue who this guy was. And this is those arguments that like old pundits and people will tell you in modern wrestling that you can't do shit like this. Well, they're comparing it to these things back then where like new guys from other promotions would show up. And information was much more scarce and traveled slower back then. So that's when you need those like explanations and introductions. In the modern era, you don't need that because it's just Google. Like, it takes a second. Okay. Yeah, Shane Douglas is going to take out cancer of WCW. More Hogan stuff. More Nitro Girls. Road Wild ad. Sid Vicious versus Hollywood Hogan. It is every single 19... And we saw the Savage Hogan 1980s main event style. It's back here with Hogan versus Big Dude. We saw it with Hogan Sid at Mania. Ended in DQ, I believe. It was shitty. We saw it with every single big guy opponent Hogan ever had a match with in the 80s, whether it was King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, whatever. It's sell, Hulk up, sell back, leg drop, whatever. And it ends in a DQ because Nash comes in and let's see. Yes. So it's Nash and Rick Steiner. Sting comes in for the save. Goldberg music hits. He finally returns, cleans house. You have Nash, Savage, and Rick Steiner going up the apron, or the ramp, and then in the ring you have Sting, Hogan, and Goldberg essentially erasing. This is the shit WCW would pull over the last like 2.5 years, where they have all these long-term storylines, and then seemingly like overnight, it's all forgotten about, like those feuds never happened, because in the now, the new heel is X. So all through 97, Sting Hogan. Now it's okay. All throughout 98, Goldberg Hogan. Now it's okay. Whatever. And Nash is totally cool with Sid Vicious, by the way, now. Even though they've been feuding for like a month. And I think they literally tried to murder each other in like the back streets of New Orleans. So yeah, we're back at 1988, essentially. We got Sting versus Flair. There you go. That was Nitro. And that was episode 101, 16 Carat New Blood Revolution. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time, everybody.